Hello everybody, how are you all doing? Welcome back to Man City Unplugged, your very own Man City fan channel. Exciting pieces of transfer news coming, especially in the last 1 2 days and also today. The excitement might not be in terms of incomings, but the excitement is about the kinds of business we are doing and the kinds of money we are getting in for players. Will just go deep into that. It tells us how efficiently we are turning into a club which will become sustainable, turning into a club. I think from this season we are going to buy players only based on what we get from sales. I think we are kind of going into that kind of a model. It doesn't mean if a good player is available, owner won't spend, but I think that kind of sustainability model where you're mostly going to have your budget um, based on what you can sell, the players and all of that things. I think that is where we are moving against. Moving towards. Football Quicks is here. Hey, Football Quicks, how are you? It says, would you still consider Sterling a Man City legend? What he did with a Man City fan? Plus, one of the best Sterling goals for me was when he scored against Schalke, that Ederson assist in UCL. Regarding Ederson's refusal to sign a City shirt, I actually thought about it initially. I thought that how mean it is that you're not adoring a fan, you're not accepting the request of a fan from a club that has actually shaped your career. You have arrived from Liverpool as someone who's a bit erratic, someone who lacked that finishing abilities and all of those things, someone who lacked that confidence. And from that sort of a player, we have made you into almost one of the almost in the top 5 6 wingers in the world. So I actually thought it was a bit rude on his part. But then if you think about it again, I like that maybe the thing from a point of view of Sterling, maybe Sterling thinks that he needs to settle down at Chelsea a bit more before he can start signing the City shirts as well. That sort of a mindset maybe. Sterling thinks that maybe he right now he should make sure that he gets close to the Chelsea fans than the City fans. That's what he thinks. But if you ask me personally about this issue, I think there's no doubt. I can't still understand why Sterling refused to sign that shirt, because you've come from a club basically that has made you, right, made you who you are. It is because of City. What happened with Sterling at City, that Sterling is who he is as a person. It's because of his past that he is sort of a kind of forgotten his past. I'm actually not happy with that. uh, GSK says looks like Cucurella is coming very soon. Uh, that is the piece of news actually, especially with Zinchenko. First, we'll talk about Zinchenko. The news is, I think Fabrizio Romano has told it 2 days ago. I think that the fee with Zinchenko, I mean fee between City and Arsenal has been agreed. It's about 35 million pounds or something, plus I think 3 4 million pounds in add-ons. So the Zinchenko deal is done. Ake is staying, which means a fourth centre back is staying, right? Zinchenko gone, and remember, guys, we have to replace Mendy as well. So one left back is surely coming. One left back is surely coming, but I do not know if it is Cucurella actually, because if you see how this club has operated, how we have operated in the past. Laporte deal is an example. Initially, you remember the first time when we went for Laporte, Laporte refused us, and then didn't go back for him again. And then we went for Harry Maguire at 70 million pounds. And Leicester increased the price, and we didn't go back for him 70 million pounds. So generally, if the price is increased, if the price is more than our market valuation, the strategy of this club is we don't go back, we search for alternatives. We don't think that is the end of the world here. But will Cucurella be an exception? See, again, we have money in this transfer window, but again, the way this club operates is based on ethics, where this club operates is based on certain values that they set for themselves. And okay, this is the scenario we have set, this is the price tag we have set. If not, we will choose a player who fits in within this price tag. I actually think that that is how we are gonna go this season as well. But there's actually an exciting link to a new fullback. This today we'll talk about that a bit on the show as we move along. Vinay says, I don't even care for Sterling. Happy that his and Sterling left. Who showed up our chances? Pep didn't even play Sterling versus Real Madrid. I mean, Vinay, if you see the entirety of last season, Pep didn't play Sterling in most of the important matches, as far as I can remember. Especially in the second part of the season, Pep didn't use Sterling as much, and also the nuisance caused by Sterling, the nuisance of why the title race came this close with Liverpool was because of Sterling. Even in the little bit of matches that Pep played Sterling, he misses that open goal against Southampton. He misses an open goal against Crystal Palace or some other team. So even though Pep gave him little chances, he still scuffed up. So so I I'm actually happy, like you have said, that we have moved on from Sterling. Actually, a lot of clubs, a lot of clubs, when they're, especially when they're on the top, they can actually fall into this trap of these players are our legends, we will keep them even though they have inefficiencies. So we didn't fall into that trap. So that is kudos to Pep Guardiola and our transfer team, because Sterling and Jesus had those inefficiencies, and to move forward as a team, I always thought that we needed to look beyond them. See, Jesus works hard, fan favorite. Sterling is like almost, they say that he's a city legend and all, but I don't actually agree with this guys. Even Football Picks asked that, but I don't agree with this guys that Sterling is a city legend, because stating that Sterling is a city legend means you're putting Sterling alongside people like David Silva, like a Kun Aguero, like a Kevin De Bruyne, like a Pablo Zabaleta. Do you think, like a Vincent Kompany, do you think Sterling belongs in that stature of those players? Do you think Sterling belongs in the company of those players? No, he doesn't. So he's not a city legend for me. He's a great player, but he's not a city legend. I think we need to be a bit careful here, especially in our fan base, to label players as legends, because for me, legends are all of those top players that I mentioned, your Companis and David Silvas, Agueros, and also he's not a city legend, Raheem Sterling. Whatever people might say. Harry Maguire JSK, yes, and it's good we have that policy. Otherwise, we would have had a fridge right in the middle of our defense. Vinay says Sosa isn't that interesting. Round sounds good. We'll actually discuss about Sosa a little bit more. Vinay, I actually think that Sosa is more interesting than David Raum, because the first thing is Sosa plays in a back four for Stuttgart, and David Raum he plays in a back four, but David Raum primarily is a wing back. So that I think that one difference in quality is enough to put Sosa over Rom. We'll actually delve a bit deep into that. JSK says, I think Cucurella will come. We are desperate. When we are desperate, we can surpass PSG in spending money. Regarding this Cucurella thing, I think we are smartly playing that waiting game with Brighton as well. I think there are clubs in the transfer window who are desperate. Like Chelsea, for example, you know that Chelsea needs centre backs. So the selling club can state whatever they want. Chelsea is desperate, but there are other clubs like United who are shit in doing business. They do not know how to handle a transfer window, like you've seen in that De Jong deal. But we as a club, we know exactly when to go for a player and when to play that waiting game. I personally think that playing that waiting game in itself is an art, because you should be sure that you will not lose that player. What if another club comes and bids 50-60 million pounds to Brighton and takes Cucurella away? So playing this waiting game can be dangerous. But maybe I think, like JSK says, we are confident enough that if a club really comes in with a high offer for Cucurella, we can just blow them away. So I do think that we might get Cucurella around 45 million pounds. Brighton are stating 60. I think the deal will conclude around 45 to 50 million pounds. Vinay says, did you see Alvarez finish in training? My God, the training clips of Haaland finishing, of Alvarez finishing, they're just next level. And one of the qualities that is apparent in their finishing in the training sessions is the smartness, the ease with which they're beating the goalkeeper. It's nothing to do with your fancy finishes, your curls, your chips and all. It's just that, for example, Haaland is coming. He's actually he's seeing which foot the goalkeeper has his weight on, which where is he leaning towards, and then he's putting it the other side. I think it is this smart finishing that we have missed from from a Sterling, because whenever you see Sterling's finishes, either they are nervous or they're spectacular finishes. Even Gabriel Jesus also, for example, Liverpool, for example, in that second leg game in the Premier League, his second goal, how did he finish? A chip over Allison, right, from a set piece. So they're either spectacular or they're nervous. But when you see from these top strikers, a Lewandowski, a Benzema, a Haaland, and Alvarez, you notice that their finishing is neither nervous nor spectacular. It's just that they go about their business like it's another day in the office. Yes, finishing is my job. I'll finish it. Why to be nervous about that? See you later, mate, after finishing the goal. I think that is the attitude that Pep really wanted to have around the team. I think Pep has analyzed, sat down after that Real Madrid defeat in the second leg, and he has analyzed that, okay, to go far in the Champions League and to better combat the competition in the Premier League, what we need is a sense of calmness, especially in the Champions League, especially in our attacking department. And I think, boom, Alvarez, boom, Haaland. I think that is one of the primary reasons why we let Sterling and Jesus go, and we have got Haaland and Alvarez. JSK says Rom is like Trent while attacking, he's like Cafu, and while defending, he's like Harry Maguire. And also JSK, another thing with Rom is, there is one thing, Angelino. Why has Angelino, for example, not been successful in a City system? The thing is, Angelino, we bought him from Leipzig when he played when he played at that wing back position, right? So I do not think, it's again my opinion, but I do not think that adapting from a wing back position to a back four, that too especially in a Pep Guardiola system, is not easy. I think if we bring a wing back again, we are doomed for failure, because when you play as a wing back in a system, you know that there are three defenders behind you protecting you and stuff like that, and the spaces you go into and playing a wing back are different, and the spaces you go into playing in a back four as a full back are different. And also while defending, I think you face a lot of one-on-one duels, especially in a Pep Guardiola system. You're sometimes high up and the transition happens. How do you get back? You have to be in the right position to get back. Otherwise, you concede a high quality chance. So that's why I'm not like David Ram, especially after that failed Angelino experiment, right? Angelino is not a bad player at all for Leipzig. He played excellently in the Champions League in the last seasons. He's excellent. It's just the system doesn't suit him. So that's why David Raum I think I would not consider David Raum. How is Sosa? I didn't see him much. Some things about Sosa are, they say that he has an insane crossing ability. If you just see some clips of his crossing and all, you know what they state, one of the pundits in the German league, what he has stated is, Sosa is almost like a left-footed Kevin De Bruyne in crossing. I've just gone back after hearing that statement and seen some of the clips of Sosa. My God, his crossing is very good actually. I'm now wondering, maybe if we get him crossing to Haaland, that would be that would be insane. And technically and defensively, Sosa is very solid. And one of the weaknesses of Sosa is positionally is not that having that prowess that Pep Guardiola would expect from a fullback. But then he's 24. I do think that Pep will develop him. But the main attributes, if you look at Sosa, that stand out are defensively he's solid. He's technically very good. He can come out with the ball and come into the midfield, and he can do those sort of stuff. But crossing is said to be one of his primary asset. And my God, how much have we missed crossing from that left hand side? It's almost that we have shut shop on that left hand side in the last 2-3 years. We haven't ever had a single good crosser from that left hand side. And also another thing is, Stuttgart are demanding 25 to 30 million pounds for Sosa. So I think if it is a deal we want, we should do it. Personally, my preference is we do the Sosa deal, and also we do the Cucurella deal, because we have to fill two places. Remember, Benjamin Mendy is there, and also Zinchenko's place will be vacated now. So we have two places empty on that left hand side position. I do think this is one of the reasons actually why Pep didn't let Nathan Ake go, because Pep knows if he lets both Ake and Zinchenko go, and Zinchenko deal was closed. I think that's why Pep didn't let Ake go. If Ake and Zinchenko goes, like people say, it's not just two players you have to replace. You even have to replace Mendy as well. So literally three left-footed players, that would have been very very demanding to bring in three left-footed players in one transfer window. So I think that is another reason why Nathan Ake has stayed. Vinay says, is City thinking of future interest with Barca wanting Spanish players? If that's so, I'm happy with Sosa or Rom. I think that is definitely a thinking point for City, especially the way they have snatched away Eric Garcia, they have taken away Ferran Torres, for example, and all of this stuff. I do think that, that is another concern with Cucurella. What if Cucurella comes and Barca take him? That's always a concern with Spanish players. I think it's the same concern with German players as well. Especially you've seen Leroy Sané, right? Wanting to go to Bayern Munich. Now news is he wants to go to Real Madrid because Bayern hasn't been a successful stint for him and all. So I do think that is, and to counter that, I think there's only one alternative: bring in a lot of English players. But again, I think we as a club can convince players to stay more than people on the outside think. JSK says, by the way, what is Alvarez preferred foot? It's the right foot I've heard, but then he can finish off either foot, but generally it's the right foot. They say he's almost two-footed, but I've actually seen him prefer his right foot, especially when taking penalties and stuff. Football Freak says Foden actually can be a classic number 10, which is what we are lacking since David Silva left. Football Freaks, maybe more than Foden, maybe a James McAtee could be a classic number 10. I somehow, lean towards a James McAtee to be a classic number 10 and fill in the space left by David Silva. The only reason being James McAtee can control the tempo of the match better than a Phil Foden. Phil Foden is still a bit one-paced in terms of trying to influence a match. This is what even Pep said actually. And also looking at Foden, I think Foden would be much more suitable to that box-to-box role which Bernardo Silva is playing, because he can control the play from the back, and he's also a good dribbler of the ball. He can move into spaces, and the way he plays those long passes and stuff, they almost are like Pirlo-esque. So, so I do think that Foden's best position is the CM position, and James. I really expect James McAtee to come to the fore this season, and at least put in an effort. Put in some good performances to at least show Pep that he's ready to play in that midfield role. Vinay says Pep's 4-3-3 isn't made for defense. Attack, attack, attack. That's why we need pacey players at the back. Uh, Pacey players, and also we need players with good positional awareness, I think, with good positional sense. Because one of the things is when we lose the ball, suddenly we go into a 4-4-2 system. I think that offers a bit of solidity. But like you said, it's right. We need that recovery pace at the back. That's why Kyle Walker is so important. By the way, I was wondering, what if Walker gets injured? I actually know what happened against Madrid, for example, when Walker got injured. Cancelo isn't pacey, especially when Cancelo is decent pace, but it's not pacey. For example, when you compare Cancelo to Vinicius Junior, to Luis Diaz, I mean, all of those pacey wingers. So I sometimes think, what will we do if Kyle Walker gets injured? Maybe we should bring in another defender who's having pace. I mean, this is actually a very important point. Uh, Vinay, which players in our defense have pace? I don't see. I mean, Ruben Diaz, Stones is okay. Laporte, no pace. Oh, I think we actually need to bring in a player with a bit of pace as well in the defense, just to cover, for example, for Walker if he's injured. Because playing without pace is again dangerous, because the one thing is, without pace it's almost like you're affecting your attack. You can't push further, you can't push high up the field without pace. So I do think we need to bring in someone with pace on the left hand side. Maybe Sosa would not be bad if you're looking for someone with pace as well. I definitely don't want a like for like replacement for Zinchenko. Like for like in the sense that Zinchenko was a midfield player converted into a left back. I don't want someone with those attributes. I want someone who's a natural fullback this time around. Football Cricks is, are we signing two left backs? I suppose then yes, Football Cricks. All of the indications right now are like we are actually signing two left backs because we have to. But one is guaranteed. I can't imagine the season. I'll be stunned actually if we don't get even one left back this season because the two left back spots are empty. Natanake, some people say that Natanake can play on the left, but Natanake is a fourth choice centre back. Remember, all the clubs now are having at least four centre backs in their backup. So Ake is actually a fourth choice left back. So our entire left back position is empty. Mendy gone, Zinchenko gone. So it's literally. I think we were waiting for the Zinchenko deal to be concluded, and after that we'll go all in because we've got 35 million pounds for Zinchenko guaranteed, and then we have got 45 from selling Sterling, right? 80 million pounds. So I think we are primed with 80 million pounds. I think 80 million pounds is enough to get two left backs. You go for Cucurella for 60, for example, Cucurella 60, and then Sosa 20, 25. I think you go. So I think we have sold these two and we are getting those two. Roshan says taste of Champions League is nice. Though last season I experienced, I will you this year. Definitely, Roshan. We will never stop dreaming. Just watch the 93-20 documentary and all of those, Roshan. You'll understand what dreams mean to this club. JSK says, here came the Madrid fan. Drogba has really left a trauma in their brain. I don't know why the Madrid fans, instead of celebrating their Champions League win, their European champions and all, they keep on pestering the fans of other clubs. This means that this shows to me that they're not content with themselves. It shows that even though they won, it's all hollow on the inside, and that's not how it's at City, mate. Vinay says there's many things to talk versus Madrid, but I'll maintain calmness because this time we have the best talent up front. We'll show it on the field. We are not barking dogs like Madrid fans are behaving. For example, we are not barking dogs. We are calm. We are silent, and we'll thrash them this time. We'll absolutely take them to the cleaners. Vinay, this time if we get Madrid in the Champions League, I'm very sure that we'll give them such a pummeling that they will not be able to erase this memory throughout their history. We will defeat them, will actually scar them, Pep is feeling bad, we are feeling bad about that night, all of that energy will come out that day. I do wish we get Madrid in a quarter-final game, I mean in a knockout game in the Champions League. Just Madrid fans should pray now that the draw is kind to them. Dare not think of playing City this time. In the first 15 minutes the game will be done. 15 minutes the game will be done this time. JSK says Foden needs to work in his finishing if he wants to play as a winger. JSK, actually, I do think that Foden's finishing is actually better than what few people think, because that Liverpool game, right, in the Premier League, the first leg when we were 1-0 down, where Salah scored that wonder goal. If you see that finish of Foden, he has finished it very accurately past Alisson, for example. So I think Foden has that finishing in him, and Foden was a much better finisher, if you remember, especially at the start of his time at City, and gradually his finishing somehow started to decline. I do think strikers, attackers thrive of their competition as well. Not just competition, thrive of who they are practicing with. And who was Foden practicing with all this while? He was practicing with Sterling, he was practicing with Gabriel Jesus. whose finishing is actually crap. But now I think Foden has got Haaland, Alvarez, so he has actually got players who he can compete with, especially in terms of that finishing and stuff. I do think Foden's finishing will improve this season. The only reason why it has decreased is I think why it has waned away a bit is I think just because of being with trash finishers like Sterling and Jesus actually. Football Cricks, yes, that's why we need to sign Adama Traore. Yes, Football Cricks, Adama Traore would be a two-in-one player. I mean, apart from he can play on the wing and also on the fullback, I think with Adama Traore we can play him as a fullback on match days, and also in between we can send Adama Traore to those boxing competitions, right? That happen often in England. So City could be represented there as well with Adama Traore. It's a two-in-one signing, one player representing two sports. I think with Adama Traore, the problem was his. It's not his finishing, but his decision making was actually the problem with Adama Traore. He too often gets into good positions and he doesn't deliver good crosses and stuff like that. I know in the season before he left to Barcelona at Wolves, he rectified that. He had a stellar season, but he generally has that in him where he's a bit indecisive in his decision making. But then you never know. Jesus Navas is one of the best fullbacks in Spain. I don't know if he still plays, but he played last season and he's one of the best fullbacks. So you can't write it against Pep to convert Adama Traore into one of the best fullbacks, especially when he has that physicality, when he has that pace and all. Adama Traore would be actually very good. Football tricks. Sometimes when I play FIFA, I put Adama Traore, I take Adama Traore and put him at left at the fullback position. Vinay says Foden takes extra touch, which isn't good in the final third. Foden wasn't like this actually. Foden was more decisive, but Vinay, as you said, you're right. Off late, Foden was taking those extra touches, and one of the reasons is again, I think, lack of trust on a Jesus or a Sterling to finish. I think Foden. Actually, what Foden thought was, I have to finish this. I can't take an extra touch or pass to him. So Foden lost a bit of trust in, I think, Jesus and Sterling to finish. With our midfield players, if you see Kevin De Bruyne also, for example, towards the fag end of the season, De Bruyne scored, 4 goals against Wolves. He got a couple against Newcastle. He was scoring the bulk of goals. I think one of the reasons again for that is De Bruyne didn't trust Sterling and Jesus. Absolutely, he didn't trust. He was taking more long shots than you generally see from De Bruyne. If you go back to the last 1-2 years of how De Bruyne played, he was not taking those many long shots. So I think towards the end of last season, especially after that Madrid game, it showed on everyone's faces, especially the way they played, that no trust on Jesus and Sterling, absolutely, especially in crucial moments. Vinay says, but there's no links of Adama. Yes, Vinay, but we are actually hoping that a link to Adama Traore would come, but it is highly unlikely because we are already well stocked in the fullback department. But it would be very good if Adama Traore actually comes. JSK says, I think Cucurella has a decent pace. Yes, I think Cucurella has almost equal pace to Cancelo. I think maybe a little bit more, but then I think is that pace enough to, for example, deal with an out and out winger? A pace like a Serge Gnabry, a pace like a Vinicius Junior, for example. So a pace of a Kylian Mbappe. So I do think, especially in Europe, it will not be a problem in the Premier League, but I think especially in Europe, if you play, I think you need that out and out pacey fullback. I would not say that teams with great pace, teams having great pace in the defensive positions win the tournament or something, but it's almost like an assurance cover at the back. It allows you to push high up in emergency situations, right? When you have to score a goal and throw the kitchen sink and all of that, you have a player at the back who can sprint and go back. So I would actually like to think we bring a left-footed player who is pacey just for those kind of situations. Football Trick says, are you going to do watch along for preseason games and plus wait to watch it? Do you know? Yes, Football Tricks, I'll be actually doing watch along for the preseason game. The first game is on the 21st, I think, right? 6 a.m. Indian Standard Time. It's with Club America, I think. I'm actually thinking that. It's there on Sony Live. I think that is the streaming app where it is there. But I'll have to actually check if they're putting it on, because the United preseason game was on Sony Live actually. So a couple of preseason games were already there on Sony Live. There were highlights of the Chelsea game when Chelsea played with Club America on Sony Live. So I actually think this game also will be put out live there. But I'll have to check once. Roshan says that time also you guys were on high, but at least Hero will win. Vinay says, can McAtee defend? Need players like Silva who are willing to do everything. Vinay, I actually think that McAtee can defend. McAtee can defend in the sense that he can press well, he can get back into shape and all. The reason I'm confident is that McAtee. Okay, Phil Foden was already developing in the academy before Pep came, right? But James McAtee and Cole Palmer are the first two players to break through into the first team. After Pep has implemented all of his ideologies into the academy, they have actually learned all of those nuances, all of the playing style, how to defend, how to get back, how to defend against transitions, all of those under Pep, from the ideas of Pep. So that's why I'm really excited to see how Palmer and McAtee adapt to. I think the adaptation will be fast, and I think they will be able to defend all of the qualities that Pep would have to teach to maybe a Calvin Phillips, or Pep would have to teach to someone if you're signing them from outside. McAtee will have that. Actually, from whatever I've seen in the under 23s, I know the under 23 league is not a benchmark to how you can compare to a player's performance in the Premier League or higher level. But whatever I've seen is movement, is transitions, and all of that. McAtee can actually defend. He can actually defend quite well. He can go into challenges. He can be aggressive actually. Just like David Silva, for example, under Pep Guardiola. David Silva was actually aggressive. He was going into challenges. He was pressing aggressively. We have not seen a sign of David Silva like that before. A side of David Silva on that note before Pep came. So I think all of these attacking players who will come from the academy, including Palmer and McAtee, I think they will be well versed in that side of the game. Tactical fouls, attacking, all of those things. Vinay says KDB will be more happier than any other. He will be, I mean, not happiness, Vinay. KDB will be relieved actually. KDB will be relieved from the frustration that now if I pass, at least Haaland and Alvarez will make the goalkeeper work. KDB doesn't expect the striker to put every ball into the net, right? KDB at least expects the striker to make the goalkeeper work. At least that would be a justification of the effort KDB had put in to set up that chance. But with Sterling, open goal. I mean, if I'm KDP and if I'm presenting you with an open goal opportunity and you miss, what will I be telling to myself? How will I get the motivation to, go on and provide another assist? Actually, it's a big salute to KDP that all these years with Sterling and Hayes is there, still he has been without frustration churning up assist after assist after assist without feeling dispirited even once. I mean, just imagine KDB gets 15 to 18 assists on an average, right, every season. Just imagine this season how many he will get. I think KDB will easily get the 28-30 assists in the Premier League, easily. And the record is 18 assists. I think it's held by Thierry Henry, I think, in the Premier League, or Cesc Fabregas. I don't remember correctly. But the record, I will not be surprised if the record is broken in the first 2 months even. The assist record of 18 assists. I know that is outrageous, but with Haaland and Alvarez, and with Foden improving potentially, with KDB finishing, and others finishing the way they did, I think KDB will actually take on that assist record in the first 2-3 months. Vinay says, why didn't City go for Araujo who pocketed Vinicius Junior? Actually, there were links. There were links to Araujo, but Barcelona actually convinced him to sign a contract. There was some contract issues. Even he had some contract issues with Barcelona, and Barca convinced him, and he decided to stay at Barca. He was actually heavily linked to City at the start of the transfer window, especially with the links of RK leaving and all of those. But again, you see players who are in and around Barcelona, they are tending to stay at Barcelona rather than going to other clubs. They're just using other clubs to make Barcelona pay up more. But the pathetic thing here is right now they're not being even successful in doing that because Barca doesn't have any money. Barca is almost openly saying that if you want to go, go. Or we can wait till we sort out our financials, and they're actually waiting. And also they're waiting because Barca owe them money. That's another pathetic thing. For example, Frankie de Jong, one of the reasons why, I mean, he's telling I want to stay at Barca and stay at Barca, but it seems that Barca owe him almost 60 million euros, 60 million euros in wages. And if they sell him to United, they don't have to pay those wages to De Jong at all. So I do think that dealing with Barca is stupid. I actually think that we will not have many deals with Barca this season or even in the coming transfer windows. The relationship with Barca is not as good as it used to be. I mean, for example, Ferran Torres, I think we discussed on this channel a few days back about this. You know, Laporta, it seems, in a private party, Barcelona president, he made a comment on Ferran Torres. He told that these Manchester City idiots have sold us scrap who can't even finish. Someone actually recorded that with his mobile phone, that thing, and afterwards they asked the person to delete it. But look at the frustration of Barca. Why is Ferran Torres scrap? If you can't make him score goals, why do you blame us? So they say that the relationship with Barca is not as much as good as maybe it was a few years ago. And Pep also right now he doesn't want to do business with Barca. JSK says don't know about McAtee, but Palmer can defend, but Pep won't play him in the midfield. Exactly. I mean, you can never say never to Pep, but the signs that we're not buying a backup to Sterling, it shows that Pep is all in on Palmer and maybe a Kaiki, but Pep is all in on Palmer this season. So I do think that if Pep backs a player so strongly, I generally think that he sees something much beyond what we can think. I think one crucial thing Pep has seen in Palmer is his finishing. Because all of the players whose finishing is crap are just being thrown out of the club this season, this transfer window. And a young player who doesn't finish well, I don't think he will again be allowed to come into a position. It doesn't make sense, right? You take out a stupid finisher, a crap finisher, and you bring in another player who doesn't know how to finish that. So Palmer has excellent finishing. Pep has always been raving about Palmer in the press conferences that he has excellent finishing. His sense of goal is superb. By the way, I've seen Palmer finish. He doesn't raise his leg much. His backlift is very, very little when striking the ball. And that is rare, that's a rare quality to see. Because as a defender then, you don't only have to deal with whether he'll go on the outside or the inside, but also you'll have to deal with the fact that when will he shoot, because he doesn't lift his leg that much. So it's all the three options are open. So Palmer will actually surprise many players this season. He'll surprise more people, actually, not players. He'll surprise more people than we might think. Bernardo is here. KDB breaking records this season. Surely not one, but he'll break 2-3 records, I think, this season. I think Yaya Toure was one of the best, had one of the best all-round midfield displays in 2015 or 14, I think 14-15, that season when we won the league, where he scored an insane amount of goals for a midfielder, and he had the assists as well, both in double numbers. I think Kevin De Bruyne is easily going to beat that this season, because they say that Yaya Toure's display is one of the best displays in the Premier League ever that season, his performances. So I think Kevin De Bruyne is going to overtake that. Kevin De Bruyne, I think, for this season will actually put in performances that will make everybody go wow. He'll go up another level, and this is insane saying about KDB that he will go up another level, because KDB is already at the top. So I think he will go another level above. He'll break his ceiling. KDB will break his ceiling. Yes, cases. I think Mahrez will also improve his finishing now, but Mahrez is a good finisher in general. But as you said, he was influenced by training with Sterling and Jesus. Exactly. I mean, people might say, why? How can he be influenced and all? But it has an effect, right? For example, you do great work in the office. You're a wonderful employee and all that. But suddenly you have teammates who are procrastinators, teammates who don't take the work seriously, right? The attitude will catch up. The attitude will catch up after a while, and even you will start turning lazy. It's almost the same thing with Mahrez and Foden in terms of finishing. I think that sort of a bit of a rustiness has caught up more with Foden than Mahrez. I think because Mahrez. That finish against Real Madrid, for example, if Mahrez is not a natural finisher, you can't do that, right? See, none of the Liverpool players in the Champions League final were not able to produce that kind of a finish which Mahrez did in that second leg, right? Curled a ball from outside from that range. So Mahrez is actually a good finisher. With Mahrez, the thing is, I think sometimes he goes for goal when the option is to actually pass to your attacker. But again, I think that is why people sometimes label him as a bad finisher. But again, I think it is due to Jesus and Sterling because Jesus is there, you're Riyad Mahrez, you're on your left foot. Will you pass or will you try to take on the goalkeeper on the near post? You will try to take on the goalkeeper on the near post, right? Because you've had incidences that they have missed open goals. So instead of that, I will try it myself anyway. Uh, so I think we should expect that the finishing of Jesus, Mahrez and Foden will actually rise a lot this season. Vinay says, yep, Mahrez has best curling balls. Haaland must be in heaven seeing her chance creating. And just combine this with a fullback as well, a left-sided fullback as well. Crosses coming in left, right, and center. De Bruyne crossing, Mahrez crossing. So as a lot of crosses coming in for Haaland. JSK says we don't need Araujo. We have his better version named Ruben Diaz, and Ruben Diaz is more dangerous than Van Dijk. Yes, exactly. I mean, the two best centre backs in the Premier League have been, especially in the last two seasons, Van Dijk and Ruben Diaz. People say Rudiger, but Rudiger in a back two is not good enough. People will notice that more in Real Madrid, but Rudiger in a back two is not that good enough. I think people are telling that we should have signed Daniel Araujo than a Ruben Diaz, because I think people are comparing it to him because people say that in that Real Madrid second leg Ruben Diaz was not himself. He gave away that penalty and stuff, right? But I think Ruben Diaz, especially towards the end of last season, which I remember he was coming off an injury and he wasn't that fit last season. Ruben Diaz at his best is definitely not just about Daniel Araujo. So I actually think we have good centre backs, and also again this is the question: if Araujo would have come, would he be happy to be sitting on the bench or and all of that as a fourth choice centre back? And lot of questions, and so that is the reason why I thought Araujo would not have been a good choice. See, it's not about competition. It's a bit of a fine line. Okay, you want to bring in competition, but you again don't want to frighten players. You don't want to affect players psychologically. That will my players be there or not? By bringing in Daniel Araujo, I think you would have planted that seed of doubt in a Stone's mind, in a Laporte's mind, that if I do a single mistake today, maybe he will be coming on the off the bench to replace me from the next match. I think if you're in that state of a mind, then I don't think you can achieve a big thing. So it's always a fine line between competition for places and making and injecting fear into players. So I think that's why Pep thought that keeping Ake was the best decision. See, Pep had a choice this season: either you keep Ake or you keep Zinchenko, either one of them, because both have agreed personal terms almost with their respective clubs, right? Ake and Zinchenko. So Pep has thought, would it be easier for me to bring in a left back or a centre back? Ake was peculiar again. We talked about it on the show as well last time, because Ake has experience and is happy enough to be that fourth choice centre back. Can you bring in someone who is talented as Ake, has that experience as Ake, 27, and who is good enough to sit on the bench, who is happy to sit on the bench? No one. I don't think you would not find any centre back with Ake's qualities who will be happy to be a fourth choice. So replacing Ake was almost impossible this season. That's why Pep has actually let Zinchenko go, because left back open, almost no competition there. So I think left back was actually easier to replace. Uh, Bernardo says, "Do you consider Sterling as a legend or just a good servant for the club?" Bernardo, actually, if you want to label a player as a legend, you're talking about players like Aguero, like Vincent Kompany, like a Yaya Toure, like a David Silva. Would you be happy? Just ask this question to yourself. Would you be happy to put Raheem Sterling in the company of these great players? I would be not. I would never be happy to put Sterling in that company. So he's just a great player. He's just a great player. He's not a legend. I think we need to start using the word legend a bit more conservatively, because it absolutely belongs to only the best of the best players. So Sterling for me is just a good servant of the club, good good player for the club. Maybe bordering between good and great, but he's not a legend. I mean, then people also say that when I tell this to a few fans, opposition fans, people say that, oh, Sterling has provided you with so many goals and all of that. But even we have provided Sterling with so much, right? We have helped him in the development, right? Arteta had trained Sterling exclusively in finishing. By taking one-on-one sessions, we have developed Sterling more than what he has given us. Actually, we have made Sterling into a player who is recognized on the world stage, what he was when he came in from Liverpool and what he is now. So if people get onto that argument that Sterling has done so much service to you, well, we have given Sterling more than what he has given us. GSK says still Diaz is much better and RO plays and is injury prone. True. Yes, RO is actually injury prone, but pace is an interesting thing you have mentioned. But again, Pep maybe thinks that Kyle Walker could playing that centre back role as the season goes on. He could transition him into that centre back role, maybe teaching him more of that positional awareness and stuff like that. But again, Ruben Diaz, without having as much pace as Van Dijk, for example, he still is one of the sec one is the second best centre back in the league. He almost drives Van Dijk close when both are at their best. So I mean, pace is not the only thing that I think actually, because John Terry didn't have pace, for example. There are many great centre backs who don't have pace. I think positioning is the key. And Ruben Diaz, I mean, you see Ruben Diaz play. Do you ever think that this guy doesn't have pace? He's shite. No, very rarely, right? I can maybe remember the Crystal Palace match, but even in that match, when Laporte gets sent off, it was Laporte's mistake. So again, Ruben Diaz lack of pace doesn't concern me actually, because his positioning is actually so good. Because without your positioning being so good, you'll be found out in a Pep Guardiola team, especially as a centre back. You might hide, for example, as a midfielder or as a full back, but as centre back, you're facing one-on-ones day in and day out. You're facing fast and pacey players almost every other week with the way you play, right? Entire team pushed up. So I actually think that Ruben Diaz's levels are above Daniel Arvo. Football Critic says, for me, Haaland actually reminds me of Edin Dzeko. I don't know. I actually I don't see much comparisons with Edin Dzeko and him. With me with Edin Dzeko, I'd always thought that he was a good backup to Aguero. But Edin Dzeko, especially with the way we played, I never thought that Edin Dzeko was good enough to start at City. Yes, he's very good at Roma and all, wherever he has gone after City. But I think Dzeko suits a certain style of play, especially that ball over the top and all of those things. So I actually think that Haaland is maybe he's not close to Edin Dzeko, but yeah, you're right. He reminds me of Edin Dzeko in terms of the kind of strikers we had back then, right? You had an Aguero, you had Carlos Tevez, you had Edin Dzeko. I mean, he reminds me of Edin Dzeko in terms of the options we can actually see in terms of strikers after a long time, because we have to remember last 2-3 seasons, for example, almost no strikers, especially in the last 2 seasons. Kandinya is here. He says maybe out of context, but as you're talking about fullbacks, any updates on Benjamin Mendy? I just see him being charged with many counts of assault every week. Yes, yes, mate. He's being charged. He was actually last week as well. I think he was charged with another assault. I think it's his 12th or something. I've lost count actually. It's not that I keep count of them, but I've lost count. But Mendy to City, I think, is a past. We have already terminated his contract and stuff. But then again, we can't speak much on that because it's again a case that is going on in court, right? Nothing is proven. So I think we generally tend to come to conclusions fast, especially in this age of digital things, social media and all. The social media justice and all has become a lot. So I don't want to comment on him because nothing yet is proven, right? He might actually be innocent. Someone could be doing it just for money. You never know until the entire thing gets done. JSK says, by the way, have you seen the Barcelona training video? They have called Aguero to train the players. No, JSK, I have not seen that Barcelona training video, but since you told that they have called Aguero to train the players, I'll actually go and see it. That will be hilarious. Football Tricks is imagine adding Neymar to our team and him playing Cam or secondary striker role. Again, Football Tricks, it would be actually very nice on the paper having Neymar on the team, but then again, I do think that we are not playing FIFA here, and we have to be very careful of assembling a team with only star-studded players, right? PSG have really failed in it. Not just PSG. This is not a recent experiment. People just tend to forget the past very fast. Even Real Madrid, did this experiment with the Galacticos, right? In that 2000s era, 2001 to 2006, in 2000 up to 2010 as well. How many trophies, how many Champions Leagues have Real Madrid won in those 10 years? It's just one Champions League. It's so the Galacticos era didn't produce those many trophies for them as well. This, I think, is an important lesson that football offers. I think it's important to put in players that fit the jigsaw of the puzzle than players that might actually seem glamorous on paper. So I actually do think that bringing Neymar on paper would be good, but would it suit the style we play? Would it suit the attitude of the team and stuff? I don't actually think. And also another thing about Jack Harrison, actually Jack Harrison, if you guys know, has left to Leeds United last season. I think they made the deal permanent last season or before that for 11 million pounds, right? And now news is that Jack Harrison will be moving on to Newcastle. So according to the clauses that are in his contract, if Jack Harrison completes his move to Newcastle, City are going to get 5 million pounds as a clause, as a sell-on clause. So that's another fantastic piece of business done by City actually. So in this transfer window for me, we have been, I think, astute. We've been sharp in the transfer window. It's only that I want us to finish off the transfer window brilliantly as well. Just getting that Cucurella deal over the line, getting that Sosa deal over the line. I again find it actually interesting, that Pep goes to a pre-season without signing a player on the left-sided position. Because I think there's only Cancelo who can play on the left side now, with Zinchenko also almost set to go. So it's only Cancelo who can play in that left-sided position, and that's it. So when was the last time you've seen Pep go into a pre-season with so many little options in a position? So that really seems interesting to me. I think the Cucurella signing is imminent, but another good thing is we really have very less pre-season games, which actually means that we have three pre-season games. I think we can actually come back and Pep can actually train the players and drill him in his methods. I think that is another reason for Pep Guardiola's confidence actually, that okay, it doesn't matter if I don't have a fullback on that left hand side as well. I'll come back and I can drill and actually train them in my methods. People are thinking that it's actually not good that we are having less preseason games compared to Liverpool and United, for example, or even Chelsea. But I think it's actually good that players are like Haaland, Alvarez, Calvin Phillips, Cucurella if he comes, Sosa if he comes, will get chance to attend more intense training sessions from Pep. I think the intense training sessions from Pep will yield more results than having another preseason match against some random team. Football Bricks says Ake will be playing it left back role, I suppose. He can fill it. He can fill in at left back football Greeks, but I don't think Pep sees him as a natural left back because I still go on to that game at Brighton this season, especially in at the end of the Premier League season. Ake actually struggled in the first half and City were nil-nil, and then Zinchenko comes and then we score 3 goals. So Ake is not good enough offensively to play in that left back role. So I think it's almost like a, like how Fernandino filled in when we didn't have options in the Champions League game. Ake's role will almost be like that at left back position. It's almost a danger mitigancy option at left back, Ake. I do expect we get in a fullback next season. Otherwise, it would be difficult to compete with Liverpool's compete in the Champions League and all. And also, I do think that we will get 2 left backs somehow, because how can you just bank on Ake, for example, and just one natural left back, and okay, maybe Cancelo can play there. But then again, you'll just have Kyle Walker as the option at right back. So I just don't find any logic in this that we get only one left back. I think we are getting 2 left backs. And also, this being a World Cup year, I actually think that Ake was needed in that centre back position, and with this and being a World Cup year, I also think that there'll be more the games will be more intense and stuff, so Pep needs 2 left backs. It's just illogical if we go just by signing one left back. It will be more illogical if we don't sign any left backs, but I think that will not be the case. Football says Foden will eventually be KDB's successor. Yes, Football I also think that Foden will eventually be a KDB successor, but he's not a David Silva successor. He is a KDB successor, because again, even KDB as well, just like Foden, KDB doesn't control the tempo of the game. I mean, he doesn't need to, because you have Bernardo and others controlling the tempo. But I think Foden has more similarities to KDB. But I still somehow feel that the best position for Foden is in that box to box role, in that Bernardo role actually, because it unleashes all of his best qualities, because Foden is very good defensively, right? He's tenacious in the press. He can spring those long passes like Perlo. And against Swindon Town in the FA Cup, for example, we have seen it. I mean, this is one attribute that we don't have in any of our central CMs, right? Bernardo Silva doesn't do that, spring long crosses like Perlo. So he can do almost everything that Bernardo does, and he can provide the creativity from the back as well. So maybe in the future you could see a midfield trio of Rodri, Foden, and McAtee, for example, after KDB goes after a few seasons. So that would not be a bad midfield trio. But again, the hope is that Bernardo will stay. But I miss those days when Pep played Silva and De Bruyne as 2 central attacking midfielders, right? With only Fernandinho holding. Do you think that could be the case this season, with 2 attacking midfielders sitting in the pockets and one DM holding? Maybe I think it is to play that formation of a 4-3-3 with 2 cams that Pep has bought in Calvin Phillips. Because with Rodri doesn't have the pace of Fernandinho. Doesn't mean he's bad. He's one of the best DMs in the world right now. But I think with Calvin Phillips, Pep can actually flip around the formation a bit, playing 2 number 8s. Just imagine playing 2 number 8s with only one DM attacking with Haaland, Alvarez, Foden. That would just be monstrous. Who will the opposition team mark? Football Fix's best position for him is cam role. I've seen in the under 17 World Cup. I mean, coming from the youth stages, he was actually a attacking midfielder, right? When he broke through from the academy as well. But again, it's a bit difficult to judge what happens in the younger age groups and what happens at the big stage, right? It's a game of men at the highest level in football, and I do think that Pep has seen Foden, because I think Pep has seen Foden that okay, he has broke through. He's the under seven. He was the under 17 player of the year, right? That time the World Cup was in India as well. I remember when Foden was crowned the under 17, under 19 player of the tournament. But Pep has seen that okay, he's come through the academy playing in that cam role. He's crowned the player of the year. But why has Pep played him on the left wing? Why has Pep played him in that DM role in the FA Cup match, in that CM role in the FA Cup match? Why has Pep even debuted him at left back? I think there are certain attributes which Pep thinks that Foden is more suited to than in a cam role. At the highest level of football, I think we need to go more with the judgment of Pep. And also, I think playing him in that central midfield role, I mean, playing him in that attacking role, cam role, I do think that you remove some of his best attributes. Especially, see, he likes to cut inside on the left. He likes to shoot. I mean, all of those attributes are suddenly taken away when you play him in that midfield role. I think, right? Okay, you and also I think you remove that sort of a freedom which Foden craves for in that role. So I mean, according to me, I think his best role is in that CM role. Football critics says cause Pep is a madman. Yes, football critics, and I do think that the madder you are, the more chances you have of achieving success. I think you need to be a little bit mad to go on to those heights, right? Because without experimenting those things, I actually think if you look at Pep in that way, I think without experimenting those sort of things, Pep would not have been who he is right now. Right from the Lionel Messi days, right? If you Lionel Messi, any other manager would have played him on the wing, for example, or a striker, for example. But Pep created a position. Pep disposed of a Samuel Eto'o. Pep disposed of a Zlatan Abramovich, trusting a player who's playing in a position that he himself has designed. And at that time, who was Pep? Pep was a coach with no experience. This job was gone burst at Barca. Maybe Pep would not have gone on further in his career. I think Pep loves uncertainties, and it is in these uncertainties he finds joy, and that is why he resigned from the Bayern job. Actually, he found it boring. Actually, no, nothing uncertain there. You win the Pokal, you win the Bundesliga every year, and Champions League you go to a semi-finals every year. At least it was boring. But at City, one of the reasons why he has stayed for so long is Klopp is always chasing you. You have a Tuchel, you have a Conte now. Everything is uncertain. The crowds are fantastic. The pressure is different here. You're competing in 4 competitions. Nothing is for granted here. I think Pep will stay. People are worried that Pep might actually leave soon, but especially rumors were coming at the start of the season. But I guarantee that Pep will stay until he finds that excitement, until there is uncertainty, until there is a Klopp, there's a Conte still playing in the league. That the moment that the league becomes easy, I bet you that Pep will go, because Pep doesn't like easy. Pep doesn't like comfort zone. That's why he's always chopping and changing the team. See, the Centurions team had what two camps, and we got 100 points right that season. But why did Pep change the formation next season? Why did he bring in Gundogan in that CM role? Why did he flip around things? Why does he change something that is working? I think experimentation has been why Pep is what he is, and experimenting with things that is actually working and evolving more. I think this is the reason why Antonio Conte doesn't stick at a club for long. I think this is the reason why Jose Mourinho doesn't stick at a club for long, because they have this rigid way of playing their own formation, and I think there's no innovativeness or something, no experimenting. But with Pep, you every season you get something new. Inverted fullbacks, a CM. Bernardo himself would not have imagined 4 or 5 years ago that he would be the best central midfield player in the world right now. So I think Pep has indeed experimented a lot, and that is the reason for his success. Football tricks is, who do you think is Pep's successor? I feel it's Mikel Arteta. It makes sense now. Arteta signing a new contract. Mikel Arteta makes a lot of sense actually. I mean, it didn't make sense when a couple of years ago, you remember, Pep Guardiola was banned from a Champions League match due to a red card or something, and Mikel Arteta was on the touchline. I think this was 2 years ago, and then you saw Mikel Arteta, and he's like, he didn't have he looked nervous on the touchline, and you thought, is he going to replace Pep? No, but right now I think going off to Arsenal, he is managing a team that was almost in a sort of a crisis. Beginning of last season, Arsenal had lost the first four matches, I think, right? We routed them final or so. Calls were there to for Arteta's head and all of that stuff, and he got through all of that. It made him strong. I think all of the indications are there that Arteta, he's innovative again, like Pep, not to that extent, but like Pep, he knows the club inside out. I think Arteta makes sense, but personally, I think Graham Potter, I somehow can't, lose my love for Graham Potter. I mean, the way he innovates. If there's one manager in the Premier League currently, if I would say that his level of innovation, the way he makes his team play is almost at the level of Pep. It's not Klopp or someone, it's not Tuchel, it's Graham Potter for me. See, with a limited team, at Brighton, he has made them play in such a way against good counter-attacking teams in this league. You see how Brighton played against Spurs, for example. We struggled against Spurs. See how Brighton played without giving up their principles. The way they played against Liverpool, with fullbacks coming into the midfield, with them dominating the midfield. They played a diamond against. So all of these things, I think Graham Potter, for me, I think it will be a close race between Arteta and Graham Potter. Maybe Arteta might get it because of his connections in the club, connections in the sense the know-how of the club, and all of that. But again, with Arteta, I think one of the thing that ticks the box in favor of Arteta is, I think Arteta is actually a more pragmatic than Pep, in the sense that when he knows that you can't compete with a team by playing your style, or you have to sit back, Arteta can play that counter-attacking system, which I think sometimes Pep is too rigid, that no, I will play this system, I will play my system, that's all. But Arteta is a little bit flexible in that terms. But then again, Arteta is someone who's still developing his philosophy, developing his style, and Pep Guardiola is someone who's the best managers the world has ever seen. He's going to go down as a legend of the manager, as legend of a manager. So I think Pep Guardiola has already developed this philosophy, whereas Potter and Arteta are developing their philosophy still. I do think that maybe in 3 years, 4 years, 3 years at the max, I think we will have a clear idea of who will replace Pep, and hopefully Pep will. I think 2026 is when Jurgen Klopp has signed a contract till. I think Pep won't leave the Premier League till then, and until then, I do think that Arteta will be ready to take on the City job, and also I think Graham Potter also will be ready. Apart from those two, I don't see any other managers right at this point making the cut to our requirements at City. Maybe someone else would come up in that 3-4 years time. Football Critic says, yeah, English manager managing English champions makes sense. Yes, and also it's not an English manager just for a namesake, right? It's an English manager because, and also how many English managers play the style of football which Graham Potter plays, right? Not many. The English managers, generally what we have seen is they're a bit rigid in terms of sticking to their traditions, and all of those things, that football is sort of meant to be played in this way and sort of that. But Graham Potter, for me, the respect for Graham Potter is because he's, I think, the first English manager, maybe even Eddie Howe you can say, but Graham Potter has actually broken down those walls of what is seen as tradition in English football. He's almost pioneering that step into a new era in terms of how football should be played right from the grassroots in English football. So I do think that Graham Potter is an obvious choice. He would make a very good manager for us. Anyway, guys, I really hope that you have enjoyed the show. If you've liked the show, please click on the like button and also do click on the bell icon so that you'll get notifications whenever I put on new videos. Again, thank you so much, guys, for joining the show. It was fantastic interaction. It was really wonderful chatting with you guys. Discussed a lot of things. So take care, guys, and see you all again.